7 o'clock on my clock, so I'm going to go live on YouTube right now. Okay, and the meeting is yours, guys, whenever you'd like to start.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
flag
States of America,
United States of America,
to the republic for which
the
it
republic
stands,
for which it
one
stands,
nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
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 Okay, roll call. You there,
Hurst?
Sherry?
Hurst,
Here.
Duff. Here. Nye,
Here.
Martini,
Here.
Sargent,
I'm here.
Malik,
Here.
Snyder.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Does anybody have any agenda additions besides me? Okay, I would like to move that we add the progressive contract renewal and to new business 7B and 7C to be participation in the Huron Valley River Watershed Council discussion.
I'll
Support.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
I think we have to do a roll call, Sherry, because we're virtual. Sorry.
I wasn't sure if they changed that.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I'm not. So we can do it just to be safe, but I thought they changed that and they didn't have to do it each time, but we'll do it just to be safe. Roll
Okay.
call vote. Hurst,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Martini.
Yeah.
Sargent,
Yes.
Malik,
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes from last month. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes, or shall we move to approve as is?
They look great. I move that we approve as is.
The only suggestion I have is that on the agenda, it says for November 4th, but instead of December 2nd, but that's, I don't think that prevents passing of the minutes or approval of the minutes.
Oh. Well, that's under the approval of the minutes for the month of November, though.
Okay. Gentlemen, this is Bob Malik. Okay, I have a copy of the December 2nd ones only because they were in my packet. Okay, so mine is dated for December 2nd.
Yeah, I think he's talking under the approval part.
On the agenda.
Right.
Oh, on the agenda.
Oh,
Well, mine says the second, Mike.
yeah, mine too.
No.
It's written on our, it's written in the minutes.
It's written for the minutes from last time that it says minutes of
Right,
November
right.
4th, but that was the approval for
It's-
November in December. So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
accurate.
it's correct.
Well, how did I have the 4th up? Okay, it looks good to me.
Guys.
I'm sorry.
You want to withdraw that, Mike?
Yeah, I'll withdraw it.
Holiday thing.
I don't know what happened there. Somehow I had a different agenda up, which I don't see anymore.
Oh.
I don't know.
So you don't have the one with all your assignments on it, then good.
No, but somebody want to do them?
So we got a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, call to the public. We have any members of the public on? Jacob?
No, we do not.
We'll move on to new business. So new business, number one on our hit parade is Andrew Thompson. He's with Onset Computer Corporation out of Massachusetts. And he has prepared a presentation for his recommendation for our lake level transponder system. Andrew, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. How you doing, everyone? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
All right. Jacob, do I have control to share my screen here?
Yes, you do. It should be the
All right.
green button at the bottom.
Let me know if everyone can see my presentation.
Yes.
Yep.
From Massachusetts, but a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yeah, that's growing up, big Lemieux fan. So,
All right.
so what I'm going to go over today, I spoke with Michael briefly about putting together a remote water level solution for dam management. And I will go a little bit. Let me just make sure it's clicking over here. One sec. So a little bit about myself. I'm with Onset Computer Corporation, as Mike mentioned. I am an application specialist, and I specialize in really helping or assisting researchers, consultants, government agencies, a lot of universities, and a wide range of water quality and environmental applications. So Onset does data logging for environmental products, water quality, indoor energy monitoring, but I'm more focused on the water quality side. This is just a little shot of our location, our manufacturing plant in Bourne, Massachusetts. So all the manufacturing is done right in the US. We are a world leader in data loggers, founded in 1981. We have about 150 employees now. Some of us working from home, like myself. I ironically started with Onset in the week we went into shutdown in March of 2020. So I have yet to go into the office, but luckily they gave me all the products so that I could catch up quickly with what's going on. And we have a global network of distributors. So not just nationwide, we also have distributors globally as well. And again, our sole focus is data logging and monitoring. So just a little overview about what I'm going to talk about today. The two of our main stations, we're looking at telemetry stations, ones that can provide data remotely so that you can set them up and then get that data from right where you are, right at home right now through our cloud software. The two stations that we're looking at are the Micro RX station and the RX 3000. We'll take a look at some of the sensors that can be hooked up to it and modules, some of the accessories, mounting and deployment options, and then really I'll go into the software. That's the main piece here is the software and how you guys can utilize those capabilities. And I'll switch over from a presentation to our web browser so that I can actually show my account as well. So here's just a picture of both stations. You have on the left our RX 2100 and on the right our RX 3000 station. The left side RX 2100 is a more compact station. It's going to come in for, if we're looking at just water level, which these stations have the capabilities of doing much more, but if we're looking at water level and having a remote station, the RX 2100 can do that. It's a nice compact station. As you can see, it has a solar panel right on the front. And it comes in under $1,500. So a very valuable solution, low cost. And as I mentioned before, Onset's been around since 1981. We have great feedback for the reliability of our products. The one on the left can only utilize GSM cellular connection. So with cellular in the plans that we offer, it's AT&T, T-Mobile. That's with the GSM. So Verizon would not work with that GSM connection. I believe you guys do have AT&T and T-Mobile in the area, so it should work fine. And the micro RX station will allow for up to 5 plug-and-play smart sensors, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But those are really environmental sensors, so things like rain gauges, wind speed and direction. Really, these stations can be outfitted to be a full weather station, but also do some water level monitoring or water quality monitoring as well. On the right side, you'll see the RX 3000 station. It's a little bit more versatile of a system, a little bit bigger. It's going to come in a little bit more expensive, just under 2,000, still fairly inexpensive for what you're getting. This also works with GSM cellular connection, and this one can also utilize Wi-Fi or Ethernet. I don't believe that is going to be the case here. I believe we're going to go with cellular, but it can utilize those capabilities as well. This station allows for up to 10 plug-and-play smart sensors. So as opposed to the 5 on the compact station, you're going to get 10 plug-and-play smart sensors. And then we'll also allow for 2 modules, which I am going to go more into detail about the sensors and modules next so that you can kind of understand the differences between both. So here's a little picture of the insides of both. So on the left, you still have that compact RX 2100. On the right, you have the RX 3000. And to talk a little bit about those environmental smart sensors, and actually, let me see if I can get a pencil here or a pointer.
We can see your pointer.
Oh, you can? Okay, perfect. So,
awesome. Yeah, there you go.
So if you can see right here, there is 5 little boxes. Those are the smart sensor boxes. So they're plug and play sensors. So if we're talking, dam management, a lot of customers will utilize maybe a rain gauge to look at their lake levels and see the correlation between them. You can plug in a rain gauge right to this system, and you can plug up to 5 smart sensors. So if it's temperature and relative humidity, wind speed and direction. So that, like I said, you can outfit a whole weather station and then also have the water level module right here on the right, so that you can get water level of the lake as well. The RX 3000, you actually can't see the 5 smart sensors on the RX 3000. It has 10 of them in there on the bottom of this this screenshot here. So they're on the bottom there hidden away, but that can allow for up to 10. So you can add a tremendous amount more smart sensors as well. And then you have these 2 modules, which is the main difference between the RX 3000 and the RX 2100 is these modules. Michael had, I believe, reached out originally in regards to turbidity. We don't carry a turbidity sensor, but what we do have is an analog module that can take third-party sensors. So if you're looking at various water quality parameters on the lake, whether it be pH, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, or even turbidity, there's plenty of sensors out there with a 4 to 20 milliamp output that would hook up right to this analog sensor, and you would scale that in our software, and it could take that reading and send it out remotely, just like it would with the water level. We
Andrew,
also yep.
Would third-party sensors work with the 2100 as well, or is there an interface that has to be bought?
Yeah, so typically third-party sensors will not work with the RX 2100 because they require power to the sensor. So this RX 3000 gives 12 volts DC excitation power to the sensors, and most of them are going to need that to power up. So we do have like a dongle that hooks up into the smart sensors and can take 4 to 20 outputs, but not very often you're going to find ones that do not need power. So the RX 3000, if you're looking at water quality parameters, that typically is the way others will go. And there's a company that we actually offer their pH sensor right on our website called Phionics, and they have a pH sensor. They actually have documentation on how to hook it up with our RX 3000 station, but they have a pH sensor, conductivity, ORP, and dissolved oxygen. The other little piece here is that's a relay module. So there's a couple different modules. This one's a relay. Not sure it's relevant to the setup, but some of my customers that have groundwater wells might use a relay switch to turn pumps on and off so they don't burn them out. You'll set thresholds in the station itself, and once it meets those thresholds, it can open and close that switch. The other module that we offer is a HOBONet manager module. And what HOBONet is a wireless sensor network. So, Michael, you mentioned kind of looking at various sites on the pond, on the lake, and what that HOBONet manager allows is wireless sensors. So if you wanted to look at temperature, 1,500 feet away from where the station's located, we have wireless sensors that can do that and remotely connect back up to the station and push that data. So the RX3000 could actually hold up to 50 wireless sensors, and there's various types of sensors, again, the environmental ones that we talked about. I make a note here where it says the HOBONet analog wireless sensor is coming in 2021. That's a big deal for us because a lot of customers are looking for water level in various areas, whether it's a stream or a lake, or they're looking at water quality in various areas of the lake. With that HOBONet analog module, that allows you to take this module and use it wirelessly around the lake. So it actually will have excitation power. It will give you the access to, monitor pH in a certain area or dissolved oxygen. So it spreads that range. Many of the other systems out there, you would have to purchase a station per location that you're looking to monitor. With that wireless sensor network, it keeps the cost low and allows you to spread the range.
What's the range on the wireless setup?
So the way the HOBONet works is it's actually a self mesh network where you can go up to 1,500 to 2,000 feet off of the station, but you can actually put up to 5 beyond that. So you can keep hopping them almost to 10,000 feet. So if you were to put a temperature sensor 1,500 feet off of the station, you could put another one 1,500 off of that, and you can go in every which direction. So a lot of farmers, for example, will use them for, soil moisture or soil temperature, wind speed and direction, and really branch off on the farm. And now you're only paying for that one station and that one annual cost. So it really keeps the cost low.
So it's like, for us, guys, it'd basically be from the dam to the launch, that kind of distance from the dam to the launch. And then I guess if we wanted to throw sensors throughout the lake, right, you'd spread it from there.
Yeah, and you could also use like a repeater. So if you didn't want to take parameters 1,500 feet away, but maybe you wanted to go 3,000, you could get a repeater that's pretty inexpensive to kind of bridge that gap because they talk through each other back to the station.
And those remote sensors, they're just battery powered or something?
Yep. They're battery powered, and they actually also have little solar panels on them as well. So they're rechargeable batteries.
They float, or are they going to be mounted at the shoreline?
Nope. You're going to want to mount them outside of the water. Even the station. So these stations, they're weatherproof. Everything's weatherproof, but they're not waterproof. So they can't be submerged. The sensors themselves obviously can go in the water, but they're connected by a cable that goes right to the station or the HOBONet module.
How long is like the cable for something like a water level sensing? It's you're measuring water right at the shoreline, or you throw it out in the middle of the lake?
You could throw it out in the middle of the lake. So for water level, when you're coming from the station, because that HOBONet analog module to do water level in a different area, that won't actually come until, maybe the end of 2021 to allow that capability. So the one that we're talking about today that comes from the station, you can get a cable length of up to 200 meters. So you can really branch that out as far as you want, and it's custom cable length. So you can do really whatever's going to work for your application and your setup. If you're coming from, say you're coming from the shoreline because you have a weather station and you have it all mounted and you want to run the cable into the middle of the lake, you could do that.
Okay.
So one key thing to note about those different modules, we only do have the 2 slots here for those modules, and water level will take one of them up. So if you have a water level module here to get water level readings, you could only use another analog module or HOBONet manager. So it's up to 2, but only 2.
Okay.
Andrew, Bob Malik here. You mentioned about the batteries and that they are rechargeable.
Yep.
Okay, what is battery life and what is replacement cost? Do you know?
Yeah, so I have a slide on that, but the battery life is 3 to 5 years, and your replacement cost on those batteries is $39.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Not a problem. So it wants to draw. So give me 1 sec. There we go.
Okay, I have one other question for
Sure.
you. You mentioned that there's a second company that can do another hookup?
Yes. Yeah, Phionics. Phionics is a sensor company that offers water quality sensors, and it's spelled PHIONICS. We typically offer customers to utilize their sensors just because we know they're compatible with the RX 3000 station. And, you know, we've worked with them on many different projects.
Okay, and their cost for that hookup, do you know what that is?
So it's going to depend on there's various conductivity, for example, there's various ranges of conductivity that they offer in sensors. So I'd like to say that they're around $1,000 range for their sensors. I would say pH, for example, I think I saw at $995, but it is going to depend on cable length, the range that you're in. So there's a couple different factors. Dissolved oxygen might be more expensive than pH. We don't typically sell their products, but they're available to use. And really, if you find some on the internet, and I can assist with that as well. If you're looking for a pH sensor, I'd be happy to look up ones that you see. Hey, this one looks less expensive. It looks like the same thing. Can you take a look at it? Will it work with the station? I'd be happy to take a look for you.
Okay, well, my reason for these questions are, it's like, and I'm just going to pick the RX 3000. Let's say
Sure.
we decided to go with that, and after 6 months to a year, we find it's doing what we want. We
Yep.
can then go after the is it Finex?
Phionics, yep.
Finex, okay. I mean, it isn't something that's got to be added right away to make the system work.
No, all of these, that's the good thing about the station. All these modules can be added later down the line. I really, when I priced it out too, I priced out just the basic water level solution. Anything after that can be added, and it's all plug and play. That's what's great about the system. And you'll find too, when I go over the software, it's very user friendly. It, you know, when you get it, there's a few setup requirements, but you're not configuring a station. You're getting it, plugging it in, and turning it on, really.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. So this page here is just a little bit more on the smart sensors and just some of the prices. Okay, perfect. So this is just some of the prices here that you'll see, and just for an example. So on the left is an actual full weather station setup, and some of the sensors that we have, for example, wind speed and directions. The first one here, it's $560. So you could add that onto the station. There's a couple accessories that might be needed, such as this cross arm that you can see holding them together. But $560 to add wind speed and direction. We have rain gauges, like you see the second one here for $199. We have another one that's a little bit more accurate. They're all everything that we sell is research grade. It's used, you know, with the USGS, the EPA, university. So anything we sell is made for that. Some of them get more fine into the detail on the accuracy side, but usually anything is suitable on our website. So this one is $199. It's a rain gauge. Again, that's used a lot with dam management applications to find the correlation of water level. We have solar radiation ones. This one for $210. Some customers look for evapotranspiration levels. Not sure if that's relevant, but solar radiation would come into play there. And then also temperature and relative humidity is an example for $189. And again, these are plug and play sensors. It almost looks like an Ethernet cable that plugs right into the box.
That's air temperature, not lake temperature.
That's correct. But you can, so you're going to get lake temperature anyways from the water level module. Okay. So that's going to give you lake temperature, but you could use one of those HOBONet wireless sensors to get lake temperature at the other end as well.
Thank you.
No problem. And then here's some of the accessories. And again, this is more back to just the basic water level setup that we're talking about. You have, so it's made up of a couple different components. You have the box itself, whether it's the RX 2100 or the RX 3000, and you're going to have the pressure transducer that's in the water. It comes in a couple different depth ranges. So we offer them in 13-foot, 30-foot, 100-foot depth range. And really that's the pressure or the water column above the sensor. So if the water is going to, you know, if the lake level is going to fluctuate by 50 feet, you want to make sure when you put it in the water, you have at least a 100-foot depth rated transducer. So this transducer right here that you can see, it's a freshwater transducer. I'm not sure if the lake levels are going to fluctuate by more than 13 feet, but usually that's typical and that's suitable. The next piece is that direct read cable. We talked about how you could do really any custom size up to 200 meters, and it's what's going to keep, you know, the least amount of cable hanging around, and what's going to get you there. A lot of customers might use the least amount possible, but also if you potentially want to move it in the future, maybe you want some extra cable in there, and these can all be purchased separately too. God forbid you do have you know, a cable that you need to purchase a new one, a longer one. And this is a key piece. So when it comes to water level and water level readings, really it's designed by pressure transducers and barometric pressure and taking the differential of both. Our software converts that into water level. So the module itself that hooks up into the RX 3000 station or the RX 2100 will give you barometric pressure. So it's going to give you really, when it comes in to the software, it shows it as absolute pressure, which is your water pressure. It's going to show barometric pressure, differential between the two, and then it's going to show it as water level. And that water level is in reference to what your reference is. So if you want to reference it from the ground or a certain point on the dam, you would mark that in the very beginning, and it would fluctuate off of that by getting the differentials.
And what's the accuracy there for the water level?
So the water level is, I believe, 0.1% or 0.03 feet, I believe. I can double check that when I switch over.
Order of magnitude. So.
Okay, yeah. And then the bottom portion here is the 5-watt solar panel. So this would be needed for the RX 3000 station only, because that RX 2100 already has a 2.5 watt solar panel built into it. And that's usually substantial enough to handle it. As long as one thing I will say, and I'll get into it in the maintenance portion, but you want to make sure there's no snow cover on it and blocking out. The good thing about the software is it will alert you if there's going to be a battery issue or it's draining. You'll be able to see that to address the issue. We also have AC power adapter options. I don't know if you have kind of like a house or station built next to the dam where you have AC power and you want to plug it in there. But if not, you can just use the solar panel. So here's a little bit on the mounting and deployment. You're going to see that weather station on the side again. And the only reason I bring that up is because we offer like 3-meter and 2-meter tripod kits. So that if you were going to do a station, or even if you wanted to just hook the RX 3000 on it, we have those kits that you can set up, and it has all the proper material to kind of mount it properly. And then we also have masts. So just the mast itself, not the full tripod that you could, bury into the ground. And then the other thing is you don't need either of those. You could really just mount the station right to a post or the bridge itself. It depends on where you want to locate everything. And again, to mention about the setup, when you're setting up the station, the transducer, you want to make sure the pressure transducer in the water, you always want to make sure that's in the water. So you want to make sure the cable length gets it in the water and keeps it in the water. In the station, you want to make sure it's always out of water. So you don't want to put it in an area where the lake level might get to it. If it's submerged, you could definitely have a potential problem there.
Andrew, is there a recommended depth for that? If we base it off our normal lake level, is there a recommended depth that transducer be in there?
No, really. It's getting it low enough that the water's never going to get below it. That's really all it comes down to.
Thanks. Well,
No
we lower our lake in the winter, so
okay.
We do definitely have a low water level there.
So if that's
but
the
I
case,
assume we can pull this too, right?
But no, I mean we could certainly put it in far enough off the dam where it's not going to be where we drain the water, right? I mean, as long as it doesn't have to be 10 feet under the water, we should be fine.
Yeah, Ryan can keep an eye on it from his house.
Yeah, I can look right now.
Yeah. As long as it's staying in water, it's giving you water level. The minute it comes out of water, it's really just giving you barometric pressure. And so you're going to get kind of faulty readings at that point. So just keeping it in the water is really the key, and keeping the top portion out of water.
And is there a problem? I mean, obviously we didn't want to do this, but there's a chance it could freeze. We could have so figure the back area here is it's a couple feet deep. We drop it 1.5 feet every year.
Mm-hmm.
We would put this cable out hopefully far enough that you know, it would not ever freeze, but we've had some crazy winters. The crazier things can happen where this whole area back here can get some pretty thick ice on it.
Yeah, so freezing can definitely be an issue.
Yeah.
The problem with freezing is the sensor is really probably the most durable in the industry. It's a ceramic sensor, but the
Yeah.
issue is going to be that connection where it connects from the cable to the sensor. Those O-rings could snap. Then you're getting water in it. So I freezing over is a problem, and I would try to avoid that at all
Yeah.
costs.
We'd have to get this out somewhere where it's probably 5 or 6 feet deep, because we could
Yep.
easily lose a foot and a half of lake when we drop the dam, and we could easily get 2 feet of ice. So
Yeah, I would say get it as low as possible then, and
Yeah.
really the cable length. So to get it as low as possible, you're talking about some extra cable length. It's not that much of an added expense. The cable length is fairly inexpensive, and you know there's a standard amount you're going to pay for the cable, and then it's a little bit more to go up. So I would try to get it as low as possible, just so that
Okay.
you're not freezing over it.
But I want to just remind me, we can take this out if we want to in the winter.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could pull it out at any time. And really it's not going to lose its place. You're not going to have to start over. You could pull it out and drop it back in. It's going to keep going, because like I said, it's taking that differential in providing water level off of your reference that you made. So really, if you pull it out, it's just giving 2 barometric pressure levels and showing 0 at that point, and then you drop it back in. It's going kind of from where you started.
what does it give you when it's under ice? What is it measuring at that point? If it's a pressure
If it's
read,
ice,
and now
I'm
you have ice
not
on top?
positive. So we don't suggest it to be in ice. And we suggest against it. So I'm
I'm
not
saying if
sure.
it's under
Oh, if
ice,
it's
not physically in ice, under ice.
under ice. So typically it should be the same pressure. I can double check on that. I haven't had anyone bring that up, but that's a good point, and I'm sure many people have come across that. So I can double check, but I'm pretty sure it's under the same pressure.
Sure. Yeah, it should be.
So then, just to touch base on the bottom part here, which is our custom well cap. This is more for, and I'm not sure how you're going to run the sensor into the water, but a lot of our customers use like 2-inch slotted PVC, for example. And the reason they do that is because the sensor's good size to fit in that, where it's not going to swing around. It keeps it stable, and then also slotted because it allows flow to the sensor. This 2-inch PVC cap that we have will allow you to close the cap. You can lock it, and it will allow that cable to kind of hang in there and suspend, and keep it stable, and also keep debris out. So that's something that we do offer in the event that you do end up going with some sort of 2-inch. It doesn't have to be PVC, but 2-inch well that you create to drop it in. Maybe you do it right off the dam. A lot of our customers kind of have different methods for it. You could really just keep it stable up against it as well, but you don't want it swinging around. That's the key. And then for maintenance, we talked about battery life being 3 to 5 years, and $39 for replacement batteries that we carry. There's a 1-year manufacturer's warranty on both products. You can purchase additional years of warranty for 10% of the product price. That's not for the whole setup. It's really for just the product itself. So the RX 3000 you'll see comes in at $899. For 10% more, you could get an additional year of warranty on that. And we have tech support available at no cost. It doesn't matter when you call in for that. You can still get tech support assistance. And really the only maintenancing would be periodically pulling the sensor to clean off any biofouling, and also keeping the solar panel clean. So for biofouling, what I would suggest is when you do put the product in the water for the first time, after a month, even if you're getting good readings and everything's coming through fine, it may be good to pull it up just to check, make sure there is no biofouling. If there is, clean it off, and you can kind of get a sense of how often you're going to have to do that. If not, you can, leave it for 6 months or however long until you start to get faulty readings possibly, but it should be good and stay fairly clean in the lake.
Is there any particular way to clean it? I don't think we do to use abrasives, but
Your toothbrush.
Yeah.
Would that be fine?
Anything, any soft cloth with, water and biodegradable soap, it really will work. Anything just non-abrasive, like you said.
So you don't need any special products.
No special products.
All right.
And it's really just wiping it off too, because it's the sensor itself, it's a stainless steel sensor, and you're really just wiping the outside and right around those, the holes that get to the sensor face. So I'm not sure if you can fully see this. I pulled it off as a shopping cart, so it's a little bit blurry here. Apologies. But what this is just a breakdown of the RX 3000. We talked about the RX 2100, the more compact station coming in. It comes around like $1,350, $1,400 for just water level. For the RX 3000, it's coming in at about $1,747 for just water level. That also does include the cap, though. That might not be necessary. So around 1,700. But the way this is broken down is you have the Hobo RX 3000 at the top. It comes in at $899. And then just below it is the service plan. So the service plans is that cellular plan that you'll purchase, again, AT&T or T-Mobile using GSM cellular. It's the plan that I chose on here is $150. It's the basic plan, and typically the basic plan is good enough. I'll show you after when I go into HOBOLink the different service plans we offer and the difference. But $150 annually, so fairly inexpensive cost for that yearly service, and it's going to allow you to get to log data up to every minute and push data up to every hour to the cloud so that you can access it. Then it's broken down to the 5-watt solar panel, that water level sensor.
Real quick, I just want to ask you a
Sure.
question. For access to that data, is it like you have to have like some secure site credentials to log in and get it, or can we have residents of the community be able to access lake levels as well? Like,
Yep.
how is that interface?
Yeah, so there's an account login where you would need those credentials, and you want to obviously keep those with certain people that you want to have access to, maybe change settings or make adjustments if needed. Now, one of the reasons I want to switch over to another screen is because I want to show you the public URLs that you can create off of that. Off of our HOBOLink cloud, and you can show them the dashboard and also some of the data coming in to a point where they can see data, but they can't change anything.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's because there are people that will find this interesting, that we should make this information available to the residents without
Absolutely
giving them, we don't want them to be able to configure it, but certainly it's something that I know me personally, I would like to know the level of the lake for boating purposes, and I'm sure other people are in the same.
Yeah, and there's two different kind of public URLs that you can create off of the dashboard that I'm going to show you.
Yeah, if you're going to get to it, let's just get to it. When you get to it.
Perfect. So we and then you have the cable here, the water level sensor module. Again, this is only needed for the RX 3000, but the water level sensor module, and then the cap right here, this 2-inch well cap. So breaks down to about $1,747, $1,700 if you're not going to do the well cap. So fairly inexpensive, and that's with your first year of service. After that, it's just your $150 for the annual service fee.
And this is an annual service fee paid to you, or that's directly at AT&T?
Nope, to us. Yeah. So unless you have your own SIM that you want to use, then it's like $100. But typically customers just go with ours, and then 2 months before it needs to be renewed every year, we'll reach out to you. You can renew the service, and it's all run through us.
I have a question, additional question on the pricing. So that's the 3,000. If it's the 2,100, it'd be how much less?
It'd be about $1,350, $1,400, and that's for water level. So just for water level, though, it breaks down to about $1,350, and for RX 3000, $1,700.
Okay, and then if we wanted rain gauge, we could add that to either system for $199.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
So no problem. So this is just some other water quality products that we carry. I'm just going to gloss over them because these don't actually work with the RX 3000. These are standalone loggers that maybe you want to utilize. We sell a water temperature, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, pH, and light levels. Conductivity, maybe there's road runoff, salt runoff, maybe if you're looking at dissolved oxygen, maybe algae bloom, events occurring, you can use dissolved oxygen, but these are standalone loggers that we carry in addition to our remote solutions. If you want to actually get remote access to that data, that's when we talked about the third-party sensors that Phionics carries that can hook up to the module.
Yeah.
These ones, maybe you might do spot checking, or you might leave them out there and periodically offload, but we offer those as well in case you wanted to go that route and it wasn't imperative to get it remote.
But each of these store their data locally, and you got to retrieve the sensor to get.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, we have Bluetooth ones, and then we have like USB optical interface offloads. So it's something that you would manually have to do, and you wouldn't be getting that.
Interesting that you have third-party integration for the remote stuff.
I'm trying to get us there. Yeah, I'm trying to get us to. So we really started as a standalone data logging company. When they first started, it was just the temperature ones. And we've moved into that remote world. So yeah, that's next on the list, is to start getting some of these, remote sensors attached to our loggers.
Yep.
So now we'll jump into the HOBOLink cloud software. Just to give a little briefing on it, you're going to get that near real-time data. And I say near real-time because you're logging up to every minute, and you're going to get data every hour or 10 minutes, depending on the plan that you choose. A good thing, and this is a good thing for dam management, is the alerts. So you can set it up certain thresholds, maybe it's low levels or high levels, that you would like text messages or emails to be sent when it meets that threshold. And that's unlimited. So you can have it on as many phones as you want, as many emails as you like. A lot of customers set that up, especially if you're worried about it. I don't know what's downstream, things like that.
Custom alerts per user or generic alerts that everybody gets?
So it's generic alerts that everyone gets. So
Okay.
you would set up an alert, and because really those thresholds are generic, and you can only make one if it gets above 10 feet. So, and then personalized dashboard. So you'll create your dashboard how you want to view it, and then also if you're going to share it with the public, how they might want to view it as well. And then export options. If you need to pull that data and post process it, you can pull it out in Excel or CSV files. And then again, that public URL dashboard, we'll talk about that. So I'm gonna kick over to my HOBOLink account right here. The key thing to note about HOBOLink is in the stations themselves is how user-friendly they are. As you can see, there's not a ton of tabs here. There's three main tabs that you're gonna be really utilizing. And there's not a ton to them. It makes it easy and convenient for setup purposes, and then also, for anyone to kind of view the data. So dashboards, for example, you're going to go in and create your own dashboard based off of the sensors and modules that you have set up. This is just mine. I just have a temperature sensor in my backyard, but just to kind of give you a little briefing and show, you can get something, you do more colorful options as well. There's a graph, I added a thermometer, but you can customize this and do other things. Not fully customizable where you can just make whatever you want, but there's a bunch of different options to make it appealing to maybe the public. And you can sort this by, if you want to see past day, past week, or past month, they can kind of view it that way as well. And kind of get an idea. It's getting pretty cold here in Massachusetts, but you're in Michigan, so you understand that. And then you can scale the units and then the time as well. So that's the dashboard side here. And then under devices, this is where you're going to find the different devices that you have hooked up. RX are the ones that we're talking about. So the RX device, it's going to kick me out. Let me log in. So the RX devices right here. I have mine, which I've set up. You can name the product. It's going to give the serial number of it, the last connection, when it was done, and then kind of show here if any alarms went off, it will red flag you, and then you can edit it from here as well. But if I click on the device, this is I guess the main cue of where you're going to see all the data, see what's going on. It gives you an overview. So here's your tabs up here. And it gives you an overview of everything going on. So the sensor, the battery life of the station, it gives you all the details. Again, you can edit some of the sensor options right here and go to it that way, but I'll show you in the device settings after. And then you can move over to graphing, where you can look again at past day, past week, past month. And then this is important for when changes are made or who has account access, but you can look at logs. So whether it's the last connection that was made, or if anybody made configurations, they started it, it stopped, they changed settings, things of that nature. It can all be seen here. It cannot be erased. And then alarms, any alarms that went off, whether it was battery level or you hit one of those thresholds that you made. So that's logs, and then exports. So this shows any exports that have been done. It will also allow you to create a new export if you want to do it via Excel or CSV, or if you wanted to schedule delivery. So say you wanted to set up Excel files to go to a certain email every week, month, day. You could do that setup right there. That way it's just keeping the data. It stays on our servers for about 10 years, but if you wanted to set that up to shoot to your emails to have it as backup, you could do that as well.
Yes.
Andrew, I assume we can set up alerts for any inputs that we have, any things we're measuring, including rain.
Correct. Yeah, any inputs that you're going to have, you can set those thresholds.
Okay, because rain is ahead of lake level here. So
Yep.
if the rain gets to if we get so much rain, we know that the lake level is going to be rising. So
Absolutely.
We need to use the relay to open the dam. That'll be next.
Yeah, it's
motorize the sluice gates, and then we're done.
Yep, I've had it happen. I had someone looking into that on their end. Usually it's more for pumps and but that it's an open and close relay switch. So if you can get it to yeah, exactly.
Do anything with a relay. We'll be motorizing the damn sluice gates, and we'll be set.
Won't even have to go back to work, right? Just everything from home.
Work. That implies we get paid.
Yeah. So then the last section here is data. And again, it's really going to kind of show you what I just glossed over anyways, but the exports to create a new one, to create those data deliveries to go right to your email, and then also data feeds. This might be interesting, maybe not. Customers like USGS will use platforms like Aquarius. There's really only a few here, but we integrate into Weather Underground, NUA, and Aquarius. NUA is more of agriculture. Weather Underground, I believe maybe NOAA is involved in a little bit, and then Aquarius, USGS uses a lot. So those are just some platforms. You might not be using them. If you are, great. You could actually integrate it right into that. So that's really HOBOLink in a nutshell. There's not a ton to it, and it's not overcomplicated. What I want to show you now is the two different live versions or dashboards that you can set up for your public. Really, this is going to be what level of access you want them to see. So the first one I'm going to show you, it's going to look very similar to one of the screens I showed. So this is actually some of our customers that have allowed us access to the live data, or some of the ones that we have set up in the water areas around us. But this looks very familiar to one of the HOBOLink pages that I just showed you, but there's no account access. So they're not in here. They can't change anything, but what they can do is they can see the overview of the product. They can see the graphs, past day, past week, past month, the same way that you were seeing them. And they can see the logs. And this is where it gets into, what do you actually want them to know and see? Because do you actually want the public to see any configurations that were made in the system? Do you want them to be able to see any alarms that were triggered? It might be too much information to share with them that, you don't want to. And then exports. They could export data that you guys had done or set up. So if you set up an export or created a Excel file export, they could go in and export it as well. I don't know if water level data in them exporting it is a problem, but this is a little bit more, has a little bit more information than showing them a public URL of the dashboard. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So let me click back here to this dashboard setup. So this is creating a public URL off of your dashboard. So whatever your dashboard's showing, and that's really, you want to set that up so it's appealing for you to see, easy to read. You see how they've kind of set some different levels here too of temperature. Yeah, so this is probably what you're going to use for the public, just because.
But is it one or the other, or we could?
Nope. You can set both up. No, you can do whatever you want. It's all about just going in. So on the dashboard piece, right here, there's a setting. Oh, actually, it's in the dashboard, and then I think it's right. Yeah, public URL. So you would click that on and share it right from here,
Sure.
and
Sweet.
then you would just really just share that link with them.
Cool. Yeah, we can put that right on our website. And it's a static link, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, perfect.
So that is the dashboard. And then the last piece that I want to show you is just these, the HOBOLink service plans, and just to kind of explain them a little bit. So what I put down was the basic service plan here. And the reason I did that is because it's typically good enough to get data every hour, especially if you're not getting it remotely at all right now. And I can't imagine things would change that drastically within 10 minutes, but you can tell me. So it's $150 annually for the basic plan. It's going to allow you to log up to every minute, and it will push the data to the cloud every hour. When it comes to alerts, that's going to happen when it's triggered. It's not going to wait for an hour to actually send alerts. It's going to do that the minute it's triggered and it meets that threshold. The next plan up, the standard plan for $250, is really just giving you, instead of an hour, it's giving you 10 minutes. So it's giving the data every 10 minutes. The other difference between them, because if you looked at premium and standard, you'd say, okay, what's the difference here? They're both doing 10 minutes and 1 minute logging. Is it comes down to those wireless sensors we talked about. The standard plan will allow up to 25 wireless sensors. The
We'll be good with
premium,
the basic plan.
yeah, the basic, I think this is usually what's utilized. The 10-minute intervals is
All of this is changeable after the fact. You
Yes.
expand the system, you get more sensors, things we go crazy, we increase the plan.
exactly.
We're going to be looking at a basic plan to start.
Yeah, so basic plan is definitely probably the way to go. And the other thing I'll mention, there is no Wi-Fi or Ethernet, correct?
No.
Okay, because there's no cost associated with Wi-Fi or Ethernet, but if you build the station for cellular, it's got to stay cellular. If you build it for Wi-Fi, it has to stay Wi-Fi. That's the only thing that's not changed, that cannot be changed.
I'm on a Zoom meeting with my village.
So that is, I can kick back over to here, but that's pretty much
Thanks, Michael.
pretty much the stations in a nutshell. Is there any other questions that anyone might have?
I think I'm good. Mike?
If everybody doesn't have any other questions, Andrew, I'd like you to go ahead and quote us both systems,
Sure.
and then we're gonna discuss this and decide which way we're gonna go.
Yeah.
But
not a problem at all.
I'd feel, and I think what we want is to start, we want the lake level, which comes with temperature, water temperature, and then the rain gauge.
Okay. Absolutely.
And the last question I have is, when we go to install this, I mean, we do have a DPW. They're very good with equipment. I assume that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to set up the software. Ryan's already licking his chops. I can see that already. So these things are easily installed remotely. I mean, without you actually being on site, I assume, with easy directions.
Yeah, so it's going to come with a 2-page quick start guide, step by step, what to do, and really all it comes down to is create your account. Plug in the sensors, which screwing in the bottom sensor and then plugging it into the station. You turn the station on, and I don't know if you can still see my screen, but it says register a device. That's done right here. You click on register a device, you put in the serial number and product key, and it's up there. You put it, the key is to get your reference level for water. Once it's dropped in, what's your reference level? And then you add that in, click start, and it's kind of off and rolling.
What was the cable length for the sensor that you had in the previous quote, and how does that change with length?
So the previous quote was a 5-meter cable length, and
That should be plenty.
If 5 meters
I don't
plenty.
know if 5 meters is going to get us from the shoreline to a point that we're confident it's never going to freeze.
Really?
I don't know.
How deep is the water at the dam?
Yeah, I gotta go look. I'll pull up the depth.
And like I said, that's customizable. So you can really do any cable length that you'd like. But I'd say, so if you went from a 5-meter cable to a 20-meter cable, you'd be increasing about $20.
Okay.
So it's not a drastic amount.
All right, Andrew, this is Bob Malik. Question I have, do you have, this scenario you just gave us,
Mhm.
is there a pamphlet put together that we could get a copy with all this in it?
Sure. I mean,
Well,
as far,
here-
yep, go ahead.
just so you know, the reason is, we're a water board, we have to present it to the council.
Sure.
And also, I would think some of the council people would like to see it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, so I sent this presentation over to Michael. He can absolutely share that. I can also
okay.
send over some documentation if you need it. Maybe the quick start, and then I can send the manual or at least the specification sheet that you can show as well.
All right.
Why don't you send that whole package, resend that whole package
Sure.
to me, and I'll get it out to the board as well as to Bob for the council.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, the first year of the service is basic service is part of the quote. It's $150 a value, and then after that we would pay an annual fee of $150 to maintain this, plus the cost of the batteries every 3 to 5 years.
Correct. Yep.
And outside of damage, that's what we can expect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we set up a dashboard on our website for the public, they don't necessarily get all the alerts.
No, they're not gonna, and that's why I think you want to show them the dashboard as
Right.
opposed to the other one where they're, why does the lake level keep hitting an alert and it freaks everyone out? It's almost better to show them the dashboard where it's just, this is what's going on now.
So I think basically for us to get from the dam to like 7 feet of water, it might be like 150 feet of cable. So I'll pull up I have an old depth map in front of me right now, but we can figure that out. But I think it might be, a little bit longer of a cable, but it sounds like it's feasible and kind of within the noise of the price a little bit. So I think we'll be all right. I would say we want to get this thing into 5 to 7 feet of water to be safe, because we drop it 2 feet, and easily freeze 2 feet, and now we're talking 5 to 7 feet is that ballpark.
For sure.
I think we have a 7-foot section about 150 feet from the dam.
Okay, Andrew, you've got the do outs we need from you.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Andrew?
No, thank you for the presentation, Andrew.
Not a problem at all. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Andrew, get the package off to me as soon as possible. Tomorrow will be great.
Sure.
Our council meets in a week.
I can get that over to you right in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. I do not know how to stop sharing my screen though. That is the one. So I kind of lost oh, here we go. I got it right here. Let's see.
All right. Thanks for the time.
Not a problem. You can still see my screen, I think, right?
No, it's
Yeah.
not now.
Just you.
Oh, just me? All right, perfect. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
All right, you have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
All right,
Stay
thank you.
safe.
You too. Thank you.
All right, let's, we can talk about the transponders and continuing business. Going on to new business, progressive contract renewal.
Do we want to have a conversation about what we just presented first?
Well, we could, or we could do it in continuing business under transponders, because we can make a motion for the council to
Okay. All right. cool.
buy at that point.
Okay.
Doesn't matter to me. Well, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously two opportunities. One of them is one system's a lot more expandable. that system is also within the amount of money that the council's already
Approved.
set aside.
Yeah.
With the rain gauge. I think we need the rain gauge. I don't think we need a full weather station.
No.
No.
Nor do we want to look at that.
Does anybody have any other discussion about the two systems?
I would say this company compared to the last, right? I think the availability of having the data to everybody and
I like the alert push.
I like like I said, I like the fact that every resident in the village can have the URL. We can put it right on our website. They can all check and have access to the data as much as they want, no additional cost. I mean, that's pretty important. I think that alone. I mean, just getting depth of water and rain, there's a lot of companies that can get us that. I think the interface, the alerts, the ability to get it all accessible on the web, have the residents be able to access it. Between the two companies, this sounds like the better setup, in my opinion.
I agree, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would certainly lean towards the expandable system. I don't think we know now what we want to do later, and if we do decide we want to see water depth or some other measurement at other locations on the lake, we can do it without buying multiple stations, which is what we were talking about with the other company. So I would lean towards this company and the 3000 system, right? It seems like the better setup of the two systems they have plus the presentation we had last time. So
Bob, I'd like to ask you a question. This money's already been approved, the $3,200.
It was 2,500.
2,500.
It was back in like October, November. I think it was October before election.
Yeah, I believe it was.
2,500.
Okay, so we're still under that number.
And yeah, and you know, my perspective that RX 3000, I mean, just for the $400 difference, all the offerings that it has for adding to it, I think just makes sense.
Okay, my question is more of a procedural. Since the money's been approved, do I make the motion to have the village administrator procure the system based on the quote, as long as it does not exceed $2,500, or do you need to take it to council because it's already been approved?
I really think that the water board should submit to council the purchase based on the approved amount from 2020 budget. All right. That way, I would think, this is my point of view, all bases are covered because they have approved it. The water board has, we've seen it now. And we have a consensus as to an agreement that this seems to be the system that would be most likely feasible for us as a community. That's how I would look at approaching it. All right.
So make,
like you do when you make a recommendation for other funds.
Okay. All right. So
it's been budgeted.
Well, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we procure. I make the motion that we ask council to approve the RX 3000 with rain gauge of the Onset RX 3000 with rain gauge as quoted, which is below the threshold amount already approved.
Or
I'll second that. We need to clean up the verbiage, so be it. But yeah, we should be going after, I think, that system.
Okay,
And understanding that there's a $150 cost annually that we need to bake into part of our budget.
would we need to, we only need to ask for a year of that, right? Because we gonna have the
Right.
equipment, we're gonna get another budget next year.
Yeah, we would get that $150 out of next budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you know, folks, under item 11, you've got item C, which is the budget, and I do have information on that, so we can put that in. I'll make you aware of what's going on at that point.
Okay.
I don't want to jump out of sync of to how your meeting's set up at this point.
So I'll clean up my motion here for you, Sherry. I move that we request the village I move that we request the village council to approve procurement of the Onset RX 3000 with rain gauge system as quoted, which is below the threshold amount already approved by council. I think we have a second already on the board.
Support.
Yeah, I second that.
Right.
Sherry, did you get that?
Ryan seconded.
I have that. Would you like your roll call vote now since
Yes.
the financial?
Please.
All right, Hurst,
Yay.
Duff,
Yes.
what was that?
Yes.
Yeah. Nye,
Yes.
Martini,
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
Malik,
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Okay, I believe that passes. Bob, as soon as I get the package, I'll get that to you as well as the village administrator. Are you comfortable making that, dealing with that at council? Or do you want me to, want one of us to come to the meeting?
Well, the meeting is gonna be virtual, okay?
Right.
So I would think for you to get on as a member of the public would make sense. So if there are any questions, you can address them over and above myself.
Okay, then I will do that. I will get on next week.
The
and,
reason I
if
put
anybody
that
else
to you-
wants to join, great. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for the guidance there.
Well, no problem.
The next
Just
piece of
think,
new business.
you people, and I say, you know more about it than I do, so.
Well, this is a pretty exciting addition for us, and I think that it'll do the village well. It'll also help us make sure we protect our lakes. So,
Right.
next piece of new business is the Watershed Council. Mike, I wanted to, you said something about getting involved with the watershed. I think we need to do that. So I don't know if you still have time or not, but if you don't, maybe somebody else can pick it up.
Yeah, I was gonna look into that, and actually, I think I sent an email and I haven't heard anything back from them. So I'll follow up with that and see what kind of time commitment that makes, and any information I can get. If I can't do it, then I'll just pass it on.
Okay. Yeah, we are at the head of the Norton Creek watershed, which goes into the Huron Valley watershed. And we're really on the very edge of the Huron Valley watershed. So interesting. I think we need to understand and be able to interact with the rest of our watershed, because we obviously have inputs from the watershed into our lake. On the administrative report, I don't have a current lake level, but I assume it hasn't moved much since last month. I know of no noteworthy complaints. Ryan, anything? I assume there's nothing on social media.
Oh, not that I've seen.
Okay. Chairperson's report and general communication to the board. I had a discussion with Richard Sabina of Lake Orchard up in Waterford area. That's a very similar lake to ours. I just want to let you guys know that I called them to see if there was anything that they were doing up there, if they have a different way of doing things, or if there's anything we could collaborate on, or anything so we could pick up from each other. It's a very similar lake, but it's a very different organization. They don't have a water board per se. They have a lake management board, and he is the only homeowner on that board. So they have that lake size of ours with only one homeowner on it. The rest of them are county or city officials, but they do have similar issues. But one of the differences is they have the 2 townships they're in. They're funded. They're actually funded on a line item on the tax, which would be interesting. He said that makes for interesting business. They do not own a harvester. They harvest twice a year then they pay somebody else to do it. So we are in good shape when it comes to a lot of things. One of the 3 things I got from takeaways was they do use their website a lot for education and information, and I'd talk about that later, about expanding that. They've got the DNR had done a lake study, and I think that's actually a Score the Shore study, which is about erosion, and a fish survey. I'm going to look into that, what that means. And lastly, they have been addressing the purple loosestrife problem with beetles. I think that we actually did that way back when. So he said that it's a very simple and successful program with purple loosestrife, so that when we get into purple loosestrife this year, maybe we can look at utilizing the beetles. So
Is purple loosestrife a problem here?
I thought we had it before, and and I thought Mike picked some up last year a little bit, just a little bit.
I know there's some on the other side of the of Glengarry down from the dam, but I haven't seen too much so far or around the lake per se.
I thought I remember him saying something about purple loosestrife in his report. But anyway, if there is I know that we've addressed it before on this lake down on the Benstein end.
Yeah, Mike, Bob Malik here. I remember that we had a lot of it along the side of the road by the boardwalk. And we did do the beetle infestation to help eliminate it.
Okay, well, he said it was working very well for them. And if we get into it, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay. He said it's working pretty well there. It's a 3-year program. And so this is just things I picked up from talking to them. I really like the idea that they're really leveraging they have a website, and, you know, that's one of the things I'd like to do is start upgrading what we're doing on our website as well. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was the water board news from 2005. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at that.
Yeah.
Literally looking through some old files and dug up that thing, and it just made me realize that, you know, sometimes we're reinventing the wheel. So Paul, I thought of you when I talked about the septic situation. I'll bet that somewhere along the line they had a similar educational piece out there on the sewers. So maybe somehow we can find that. But I also like the fact that there's all the rules and regulations are laid out. And I think that we need to probably reorganize our website to capture a lot of that. So I'm not suggesting that we put out a newsletter. I think that's kind of, you know, last millennial's way of doing things. But I think if we loaded up the website properly, it would be just as effective. And then thirdly, before the meeting started, Bob and I were talking about him going to the MSU training that we all got. Bob's going to take a look at that, and he's going to make a decision on that. I think, speaking for the board, Bob, again, we all took it. We really learned a lot, and it was very enjoyable. It's not overly mentally taxing, but it's very informative. So you will take a look at that. I will let you know that the deadline is in a couple weeks. So if you want to get involved, we do have money in the budget for education. So if we need to put a motion together to have you take that. If you decide to, I'm willing to do that if that's necessary.
Okay, Mike, what I'll do is you resent me that email. I'll review it and I'll get back to you so I can possibly add it to new business if I want to do it at the council meeting
Okay, great.
for them to put me in to take the course. Thank you.
All right. All right, that's the end of my report. Want to get into continuing business. I have been monkeying around with the calendar a little bit. I'm gonna just go ahead and lay that, and I'll send that out to you guys separately. But I then move some things around. Don't think any of it is pertinent as for today, unless anybody has anything to particularly they want to add to that. I really want to get down to the sewer part. So if you guys don't mind, I was going to blast through these. The transponders we just talked about. Ryan, I assume there's nothing to talk about with the harvester.
It looks pretty on a trailer.
Yeah. I do think that it would be good for us to figure out how to put together. I know there's already a harvester tab. I didn't even know that until today, but I think it'd be nice to put together some data on, harvester use over the past few years, if that's possible in hours. I know the data exists, so I'm going to think about that down the road. Lakeshore erosion, I have nothing new to report there. Canal muck, we're going to get our readout next month about that, and also hopefully tag that on to what we're going to be doing with the aeration equipment. Don't know of any lake enforcement issues. Not really much to talk about with plant control. On the lake management plan development, I got to come up with a different word for this. I'm not sure I like this word for what we're doing, what I envision we're doing. But I think that I put together, I started putting together what I call the state of the lake. Now, how do I share my screen?
It's a green button at the bottom.
Oh,
Share
there we
screen,
go.
middle of your screen.
Wow. You guys
Nope,
see
that's your
this?
garage security
Oh,
camera.
yeah. Technology.
Can you see this?
Yeah, that's cool.
That is
All right, so
quite the hand-drawn rendering there.
isn't that nice? I'm working on
that?
I'm working on the graphics. Okay.
Apparently I live on a peninsula, not an island.
Don't be a hater. All right.
Listen.
It's kind of an island
I
anyway.
can see my house from here.
So this is what I've got so far. I'll blast through it. I think that,
I'll get you a new one of those too while I'm in Photoshop later.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I think one of the lead slides ought to be who's on the water board and what our charter is. I started putting a table of contents together, and then I started thinking about a lot of this stuff could be tabs on the website. So I'm thinking that maybe a lot of this is going to come out of this document, and I really want to focus in more on the science and the physical part of the lake and less about birds and boats and fish. And we can put that on a tab somewhere. We can put a summary slide on here, but I don't want to get into too much detail. I think the key part of this is going to be, to me, is I want to quantify the shoreline. I want to really quantify the dam, the various drains we have around the lake. I'm not sure if we were going to build a drain draining into our lake today, if it would be built the way the one is on my driveway, in my yard. But so I'd like to at some point get together with the engineer to understand where all these drains are at. There's got to be at least 9 of them in the lake, little ones like the one in my yard. And then if it makes sense for us to look at how they're designed, I'd think we should inventory all of our assets: pumps, weed harvester, aeration equipment, buoys, lake monitoring equipment shortly. the meat of this document, I think, is going to be in the lake ecology part, lake type and basin. Bob, by the way, this lake ecology stuff is all that we learned in MSU. So
Okay.
it's all part of that course. The lake type, what kind of basin we are, water quality and trophic state, thermal stratification, light penetration. I think we need to have a piece in there about aquatic plant control, both chemical and harvesting with the historical data. We've already started and I've already been in contact with Doug on the boats, getting a piece put together on that. That's that chart. I think we need to do something like that for the bird population, as well as what we're doing for population control. The fish population, I have found the old survey from 2012, I think. And then a little piece in there about our continuing efforts and our 2021 significant events. And that's what I'm calling the state of the lake. I also think we need to take the continuing efforts that we have and the 2021 significant efforts and make those into our, basically our strategic plan. But anyway, guys, this is what I'm thinking of. Some of this will take some of your input. Some of it's nothing more than me collecting data. If anybody has any problem with it, let me know. But I think what we really want to get into is really what we want to try to accomplish in 2021. And I don't know if you guys have put any thought to that or not, but I mean, we've got a lot going on already. Above and beyond the normal stuff, we've got aeration. We've got to figure out what we're doing there. We got the sewer, SAD. We've got possibly erosion control. I don't even know what that last one was. Lake monitoring. I never finished typing that in. But I think I sent a note out to you guys. If there's anything else, any big picture kind of things that we ought to be working on, any ideas that you have, does anybody have any thoughts on anything else we ought to be focusing on this year?
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned before, and I kind of tried to pick up a little bit on it. When we talk about improvements,
Right.
and some of this, I'm kind of hooking into the effort for the SAD, is some way of bringing the community a little closer together between the riparian and non-riparian members of the community by having areas that we can work to improve for those people that don't live on the lake to enjoy it.
I agree.
It's the same thing with the road endings. I think we should be looking at a fishing spot off the boardwalk, these types of things.
Okay, so
and having that be a specific thing that's mentioned in a document that shows where our direction is, especially when we can get it online, can draw in people that.
Okay, I've been thinking about that, and I think the broad description of that is to enhance and improve the access and to the lake for the non-riparians.
Lake accessibility.
Lake accessibility. One of the things that I want to do when I talked about shoreline composite up top was, by the way, here's some data. This is a really old map that my father-in-law had in his briefcase, so I thought I'd dig it up and show it to you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is our watershed. That's where we're at in the watershed, and this is the Norton Creek shed itself, and we're right up there in the corner. But this is what I wanted to get to. This is what Brian and I were talking about earlier. This is only the shoreline of the lake. Yep. And what I really want to do is I want to identify every foot of that lake shore and who has access to it and who owns it. So the first thing I wanted to do was to go to the village and have them tell me who has access to every one of these subdivision lots. Okay, is that everybody in the village? Are there people in the village that actually don't have access to this lake through a subdivision outlot? I don't even know the answer to that.
I'm sure there's people in the village.
So if there are people,
subdivision lot.
if
Right.
there are people that don't have access to the subdivision lot, we need to figure out, where those people are, and then where we could possibly get them access. And then, if that's, I also don't know all the left and right limits of the road endings. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't do there at the road endings. Could we put up a picnic table? Could we,
No.
I
No
don't know.
picnic table, but
You
What's-
can't.
no picnic
It's
table.
basically
but
all you can do at a
they're
road
known.
ending
I
is
think
park
they're
and
in,
swim.
they were in council minutes about a year ago. We could dig those up for sure. But we should
Okay, so
clearly
they're-
know, and the residents should know. I can tell you, I was coming across the bridge the other day, and there was some people fishing off the bridge. They were setting up to fish off the bridge because they had no idea where you can fish on the lake, right? And they could fish at every one of those road endings, and I told them where a bunch of the road endings were, and they could fish off fencing, but people don't even know that they can fish in those spots. So
Well, that's what we need to do. I think we can use the website to, make some of this clear. And Ryan, I really like the idea of having maybe an extension on the boardwalk for a fishing pier.
Yeah.
That's something I think we can recommend, and I think that's something we can recommend as part of lake beautification and access.
we should have which I don't think it's going to be trivial to do, but we could look into it. But I feel like having this kind of map with layers on it, where if people can go on the website, and if they want to click public fishing spots, it can highlight the areas on the map where they can access public fishing. Or if you want to click whatever happens to be, they could do those things. Where are the parks? Where are the whatever? And it highlights where those things are. I think it would be a nice thing to do. I don't know if we could get there. We could start in some documents and highlighting some of these things, but ultimately something that is interactive that people can actually use on the website would be great.
Well,
So
another
go ahead.
thing is, would it be possible to do something like you were saying, Ryan? What if we had, on the bridge, there's a rail, correct? If we had a sign there with something like a QR code that somebody could scan and say, hey, did you know there are
Here's
road
where you can
endings?
fish.
Yeah,
Yeah, instead of saying just simply no fishing, it says no fishing, no diving, no swimming. It could say,
right.
it could be the QR code. I think that'd be a great idea.
You want to fish, here's the spots. We could have that right in there. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, that's great.
Mike, Bob Malik here.
Yeah, Bob.
By my years of experience and stuff going on, I believe the only two places are Apple Orchard and Heron Hills that don't have access points to the lake. Every subdivision has an access point, whether
Except
it's
for those two.
a park, an easement, everyone has access to the lake. Now, I don't know how each subdivision is set up, okay, for their members, whether they got to pay dues to use them or whatever. But like ours in Spring Lake Heights, we are a tax exempt, okay? But every person in our subdivision can use our park. Now, there's no fishing or anything in our park because we have a registered DNR swim area, all right? But we do have 3 different easements, and we have the controversy of the boardwalk, not the boardwalk, but the promenade on our end of the lake and also on Spring Lake Heights Annex. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a complicated situation, but again, that I'm aware of, Apple Orchard and Heron Hills are the only 2 that do not have access to the lake. And again, you'd have to do some more research, but I believe the village, the girls might have that information.
Now, I was going to ask them I was going to drill into it. I'm not as savvy as Ryan is. I was going to take my piece of paper down there and start drawing on it. But I think this is a great thing for us to do this year. I think this would be, working on lake access and improving the lake experience for everybody in the village would be a great thing for us to work on. So, how about we, started, I don't know how we even start putting this thing together. Do we want to, lay out a plan, lay out some ideas? You guys want to talk about it next month?
So you want to pile this thing into this PowerPoint presentation or something?
Well, no, that was just a piece of it. Okay. I wanted to, when I talk about, this is one of the things I want to do in here, and that's, identify those outlots and road endings. Okay. So those are all access points. Okay. Doesn't have to be, and maybe there's another piece that we, I would like this, I'm thinking this to be more of an overview and then get into a separate, call it what you will, lake access guide or lake access plan or whatever we want to do. But one of the things I was thinking about is we've got all these subdivision outlots out there, and if the majority, or if the majority of the lake has access through their subdivision outlots, maybe the village can go to the subdivisions and share some costs of beautification. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. So, and I know that doesn't, according to Bob's new information that I didn't know, that may not cover everybody, but it covers a whole lot of people. And then we can talk about how we can address the rest of the folks in the village.
Okay, Mike, one other thing. I used to be president of the homeowners association a number of years back in Spring Lake Heights. And since I had not involved like I was before, one of the past presidents here, a couple, maybe 2 or 3 years back, had invited people from Apple Orchard to buy into our subdivision. Our dues here are not mandatory, but they're like $30 a year. Okay. And that for our park that takes care of grass cutting, weed control. When I say weed control, I'm talking about on the lawn, and we rent a porta potty for the summer. And so we invited, and there was maybe 3 to 5 families that joined the Spring Lake Heights subdivision. That might be something to put out to other subdivisions. If somebody like from Heron Hills or Apple Orchard knows somebody else that lives in one of the subdivisions on the lake, if their subdivision's willing to charge, a minimal amount or something, or their normal dues, to let these people participate in the usage.
Okay.
It's just a thought to step up, like you're suggesting.
I like it. I think that's worth
it's a way
exploring.
of getting people to know people.
Yeah. I will add lake access, and I want to add beautification to this, or improvement, lake access and improvement, because I also think that we at least should consider working on some of the lesser maintained parts of our lake. If it's worth it, if it makes sense, if it's something we can leverage. For instance, the curve on Commerce Road that goes around by Schenken there. I mean, that's just, that's what a lot of people see when they look at our lake. That's what they see, and it's kind of a mess. The other thing that I was thinking about was, we have a heron as a symbol on our logo, and we have anywhere from 0 to 7 herons on this lake in a year, and usually it's a couple between 2 and 4. And I'm wondering if there's a way for us to improve the habitat for some of our birds that we like the blue heron. So just another thought that I had. We have a lot of areas of the lake back in the canals and things that I think we could maybe leverage into a bird habitat. I don't know. Maybe Mike knows more about this because he's actually a biologist, I think.
Yep. Just Bob Malik here again. We have a pair of the herons that come into our beach all summer long. As a matter of fact, they walk the neighborhood. Okay.
Really?
So yeah, we have a pair, and I mean, I'm a block off the lake, and they come up the street, and you hear them squawking and carrying on, but they do walk around the neighborhood quite a bit.
We have a pair usually across the lake for me, so that's 2 pair.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking about herons or cranes?
Blue heron,
The blue,
Okay.
they're tall, the long-legged ones.
kind of
Yeah,
gray.
they're blue-gray or are
Yeah.
they
Right, the
white?
blue-gray.
Okay, yeah,
They're
then
a
they're
blue-
herons. They're very important to the vital to keeping the lake operating. So they're not invasive, of course, obviously, but so we shouldn't really be harassing them. For
No, and I'm wondering if there's a way we
He's
can
trying to
improve the
attract them,
habitat.
not harass them.
I'm pretty sure that if a couple have found it, the others will arrive. They're during the spring they're nesting in large rookeries, and so you tend to, if there's a rookery around you, if one finds a good spot, the others will follow. I don't know if there's an actual way in which to entice them to come because they feed on amphibians and fish. And we got enough fish.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, well, the last time we spoke with the fisheries people, we had so many bluegill that they were stunted. They couldn't get enough food.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not sure what you could do. That obviously they're going to be put off by the activity on the lake with the boating, but to ban boating on this lake would be suicide.
No.
So that's about the only thing that I could think of that would attract more.
Well-
Otherwise, they'll just find it.
Okay, well, in looking back here at my list of significant items, if we add lake monitoring and lake access and improvement, I think and I would like to add the final one, and that is to upgrade our web content, website content. I think that's a pretty full slate for us. I mean, unless somebody's got any other ideas and projects, I guess we probably, when I say aeration, I really mean also the muck, the canal muck thing. So I'll add that. But does anybody have anything else that we want to add to this? Because I want to start, we'll start next month. We'll talk about these. They're not already on the list. We'll add them to the list, and we'll make sure that we get going
Mike?
somewhere on them. Yes, sir.
Mike, Bob Malik again. On your agenda, item 11, you've got item C, which is the budget. And I talked to Mike
Yes.
Condick, and at the end of February, he will have an 8-month compilation of everything that start February, March and April. We can work on it because it'll be ending in June, but it'll be an 8-month budget, what we've spent and everything, and to know, how we want to go after it. Because you had brought the budget up the last time, and now you had it on this agenda. So I took the liberty of calling Mike and talking
Great.
to him. So
Thank you.
that
So
at the end of
next month,
February,
we'll have at the next meeting, or end of February, you said?
end of February. So actually we'll get it for March.
March meeting, okay. Well, I think this probably happened before you came on board, Bob, but we've designated Doug Nye as our budget guru, so.
Okay, well, again, but the fact that we talked about it last month.
Great.
And then when I seen it on here, I asked Mike so I could at least give you that information to know when you get it for the review.
I'm gonna add that to our calendar then for March.
Okay.
Okay, so when I put the calendar out, and I'm sorry I don't have it ready tonight, but I'll put it out after tonight, and I'll add the budget for March. Start the discussion.
And I'll forgive you that you don't have it.
Thank you. Well, as far as 2021 actions go, and it does tie into what Bob's saying, because obviously some of these things are going to take some budget consideration, but anybody else have any other things that they'd like to kind of put out there as our goals for the year? Okay, well then we get to go to our most favorite subject, and that's the sewers. I will stop sharing, I hope.
Oh, never stop sharing, Mike.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, sharing is caring. That's right. Since our last conversation, Mike Powell did get in touch with me, and he's more than happy to work with us on getting the SAD going. He did send me some information that deals with pressure sewers, which is something that people weren't familiar with before we got the septic systems going. So I've got some Q&A on that. I did put together and send out a trifold straw man. On further reflection, I'm not sure that would be the best mechanism to reach out, but it's just what I was dinking around with. One of the things that I noted that are missing on it is I would like to include the map that shows where people live that could become part of the SAD. So I'm gonna cobble together something that might be more appropriate to mail out, which would be a 8.5 by 11 letter with a map on the back. That might be more useful to people. Maybe I'll have less information on that, and we can do some follow-up that could go on the village website.
Yeah, they have those on the village website. They have that latest news tab thing.
Yeah,
and maybe we can leverage that.
I think that would be good too. And I'm still going through the information. Mike Sargent was kind enough to send me information on. There were a lot of sources that indicated what kind of dangers septic fields pose to freshwater systems in communities. So I'm still kind of trying to go through that. I feel a sense of urgency to get moving on it, particularly since we're going to be coming up on construction season.
Yeah.
And folks, I don't know the arc of the timeline that would be required. It says my internet connection's unstable, so if I lose you guys, it wasn't intentional. Anyway, the arc of the timeline to be able to accelerate this to a point where we could actually get the SAD. I know you got to have a couple of public hearings. You've got to have X amount of signatures. You've got to have the approval of the village council. You've got to send that on to yada, 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 yada. But, getting it started, it may make a difference for folks that either, well, gosh, I'd wait till next year to put that 100 extra feet on if I knew I could get a SAD to help my situation. Because I had a neighbor that added something, and going in solo, it's nowhere near the price of going collective. They paid, I want to say he said he paid nearly 20 grand to hook up to the sewer, go from a septic to a sewer. And that might have been not only the hookup, but it might have also included the collapse or the filling of his septic system, that sort of thing. I don't know if those costs were included in the other features of what we knew from the last time the SAD was passed. One of the things that we're going to have, I'm sorry, Ryan?
I said that they are usually when they quote you like the 16, it's everything
includes
but it's everything but the electrical connection.
Okay.
So I mean, do we want to say like I think we feel like it's something where we got to have like a deadline to hit and say we're going to send information out by next month, right? Or and then we're going to call a meeting for the next month. If we do it on a monthly cadence, by the time we get something in front of the public, really for the first time, we're talking spring. So if we don't get information out and the whole thing of whether it's a mail out or on the website, I don't think it matters. I think we could do anything. But
True.
let's just get some comprehensive package together that fits on a single sheet of paper and get it reviewed, get everybody to say yes or no on it, and say by next meeting, we should say, this is what's going out, and review it and nod our heads and go, right?
Well, maybe even sooner. I agree with you. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that think all the lights have to be green before you start the car. So if we have enough information, I know the village council has to approve whatever we do as far as an outreach for this kind of an effort. But if between now and next month, when the village council meets, if we could, you're right, by our next meeting, if we could put information together that at least scratch the surface. I mean, we could add information as we get more later, but get it out there as quickly as possible on the village website. I'd be happy to pull some stuff together and get it in front of everybody and see if it passes your muster, and then get it to the village council for approval.
And I can help review with you. I didn't look at the trifold you sent out, but I mean, we should say next meeting, add it to the agenda. We'll have a review of what the mail out we intend to send to council, and then let's say by next meeting for the council, let's get it to them.
Sounds good. I agree.
We'll make it a point to do it, and I can certainly help review and get information together.
Now, I don't know how practical it would be. I mean, we could pull some stuff together, but I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at what Mike sent from the, 2005 newsletter. And they had some information meetings from the Clean Water Education Committee from Commerce Township that talked about septic fields and how to take care of them and how to, how those kinds of things affect your lake ecology. It might not be the worst idea to take a look at that. I mean, in a genuine effort to try and protect the water, is to put some information together for people that may have bought a house that has a septic field, so they didn't have the advantage, the education curve of having it installed, so they know how it gets maintained and all that sort of stuff. So we don't want anybody ignoring it until there is a problem. Just a thought.
Have you been in contact? You've been in contact with Mike Powell then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know he's been through this process before, so maybe he can give you some guidance and help you on putting together some sort of informational. We could have a call the public in a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Have a Zoom presentation like you would a lecture series or something.
Right, but I don't know who does that kind of presentation and pulls it all together. But I will tell you that we got to be careful that we don't all bombard the village with. So I hope you will be the point man on all this stuff, because it was recommended to me that we coordinate our contacts with the village administration more.
Absolutely. Well,
had to do with the map request, Ryan.
Well, Mike, would you be more comfortable being the point man? We'll pull stuff together and get it to you. Well, you're the chair, you probably would have a better relationship and know who to talk to. I mean, I can email. I've been working with Tabitha a little bit to get some of the information I've had. But I mean, as far as reaching out to village council members or people like that, it probably would be better if we just had one conduit coming from the water board.
Paul, there's one thing I'd like to add, if I may. You mentioned about new residents and septics and things.
Yep.
The village puts out a new resident packet. I don't know if you're all familiar with it or not.
Yeah, I got.
I keep two of them at my house all the time.
Okay.
When I see somebody new move in, I knock on the door and I drop it off. And there's a lot of information in there, whether it be trash pickup, things about the lake, Oakland County, septics. I mean, there's just so much.
Yep.
And I advise anybody to, the village has them readily put together. You keep a couple around.
They're
And
not
if
up,
somebody
they're not
new
on the
moves
website.
in, well, you don't know, not everybody looks at that stuff. This is pamphlets on everything, okay? Like I had new neighbors just move in here a month ago. Well, he's not even moved in yet. He's doing remodeling. But I dropped it off and I seen him 2 nights ago and he said he couldn't thank me enough. He says, boy, that really gave me a lot of information. And I've been
Yeah.
doing that for a lot of years. And it's a plus. I mean, if you're involved in your subdivision, whoever's in charge or you have neighbors that socialize with other people, you see a new resident move in, knock on the door and drop it off. They're very informative. And again, I bring it up because you mentioned about new people and septics. So
Yeah. Well, I remember when I got my packet, it talked to me about my grinder pump and that sort of thing. So I don't know if they're tailored to,
right. I don't know. I haven't read one because I've been here 40 plus years. Okay. But I know that there are people that do get them. There's just a ton of information in there.
Yeah.
So
that's about all I got. I like the idea of having some sort of cobbling together some sort of a Zoom thing. I like the idea of having next month as a deadline to have stuff that the council can look at to approve. So
So how about you and I go offline and figure out how we're gonna get this thing on a timeline, and then we'll figure out how we contact and interact with Paul in the village and whoever else, okay?
absolutely.
Ryan, do you want to be involved?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How about with 3 of us work on it as a little subcommittee, and unless somebody else wants to join in, and let's start pushing this thing through. I don't have a dog in this fight because I've already got a septic. I mean, I already got a sewer, but
Yeah, me too.
I'm all about getting this thing on the rails and getting it through.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's figure out, we'll get together, 3 of us, and figure out how we get this thing through. And I can do the legwork. I'm working out of my house and right down the street here, so not a big deal for me to do that. But yeah, let's do that. So I'll get a hold of you guys in the next couple days.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, future business. I think we've covered everything because Bob talked about the budget, and we got boat count and bird count, and that's already going on in the background. We're talking about adding that to our either to the website or to our State of the Lake, but that's going on already. That moves us into liaison reports. Village Council. Bob, you got anything to tell us about the council?
Last month in December, the administrative committee, we met and interviewed a person for the treasurer's job because, Mike Condit is going to retire. And the meeting next Wednesday is a live meeting at the Village Hall at 5 o'clock, where the full council is going to interview the person in question, okay? And then the council meeting itself will be a Zoom meeting at 7. But we are physically, I'm reading it right here. Paige sent me an email. And again, it's saying that we will go ahead and have a live meeting at 5 p.m. for a full council interview of the potential hiree. And that's the only other thing I have other than say, I hope you all had a great holiday.
Thank you, Bob. Planning Commission. There's no plan.
No, we plan to have a commission, but sometime in 2021.
Okay. Any comments from board members?
Pumpkin time.
Yeah, Bob Malik again. I keep jumping in here. I'm sorry. But yeah, I just want to say, this is only my third meeting, and I'm really finding the work ethic that you people have put into this is very inspiring. And, I've been a resident a long time and haven't realized how much you really put into it. And as a resident and also a council member, I'd like to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for those kind words. Remember
Just
us when you get up to council.
Wait till
and-
wait till the springtime comes in and the complaints start flowing.
I don't know if they're kind. I don't know if they're kind or not. They're just the honesty of what I'm experiencing. Okay.
We're just trying to impress you, man.
Well,
All
you know
right.
what? Right now you're doing a good job. And
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have anything? My only closing comments are I'll get you guys the calendar out. Again, if you guys see any things that need to be adjusted, let me know. Don't be bashful. And I don't have, I got pretty thick skin when it comes to that. My other due out is with you, Paul, and Ryan. We'll figure out how we're going to get the SAD thing rolling. And other than that, I think,
Mike,
again,
well,
we need to be cautious about how often we're pinging the village. So let's try to make sure we have a coordinated effort when it comes to getting, going to the village. That's what I got.
where'd you get that Wolverine Lake cutout behind you? I've got a similar one.
Thing cost me a fortune.
I got a similar one in my basement I got for free.
Really?
Yeah, I got
That's metal.
Yeah, so is mine. Mine's like a copper cutout that I had some guy
Really?
do. Yeah, I had some guy do a patio at my house, and that's like at the end of the job, he gave me one of those. It was crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
You'll see, there's some people have them hanging on their houses around the lake,
yeah.
Mhm.
by the way.
I got one in
They're
my
not-
basement too.
They're not cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
well, if that's the case, since I've been doing all this talking, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All
All in
right.
favor?
Aye.
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 Have a good one. Good meeting, guys.
It's closed.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Stay